Welcome back. The Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare is organizing a workshop in Mariental tomorrow to promote awareness of the social protection policy, which plays a crucial role in addressing the needs of vulnerable populations and safeguarding their well-being. Joining us today is the Director of Policy, Planning and Research at the Ministry of Gender, that is Mr. Wilbard Nashandi. Sir, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening and thanks for having me.
Mr. Nashandi, talk to us about how the ministry plans to disseminate information about the protection policy within diverse communities.
As you're aware, the policy, the social protection policy was launched in 2022 March, where it was launched after extensive consultations with all the stakeholders, including the regional governors and the councillors, as well as the communities across all the 14 regions. After the launch of the policy and the COVID-19, we couldn't disseminate further information to the communities apart from the launch. So the ministry felt it necessary to actually go out to the public, that's to the 14 regions of the country, to disseminate information about the actual final products, which is a making of their own inputs. Mm-hmm. So far this year, we have done 4 regions, clustered actually in a number of regions. We have clustered Kavango region with the Zambezi and Kavango West, that is done. We have also clustered the 4 O's with the exclusion of Msati region, which we are currently doing together with Kunene and Erongo region. The other team, my colleagues, are in ROUNDUP region, and the ROUNDUP region is clustered with Saras region.
And as you go out into the 14 regions to disseminate this information, what strategies are you employing to ensure that marginalized groups within those regions are well versed about the policy?
Thank you. The approach that we have taken is we have actually invited the regional governors. Of course, this morning we had a courtesy meeting with the regional governor, whereby today's meeting is actually for the regional councillors and the traditional authority leaders. And the purpose is really to create an awareness amongst the leaders in respect of the content of the social protection policy, because we believe that these leaders are the ones that are on the ground and they are the first point of call for the supposedly beneficiaries that will be needing the services of the ministries. So our understanding is that once these leaders are clear on the content of the policy, we should then be able to disseminate information from the leadership perspective, and where they need further discussion or clarity, they can then come back to our offices. So the constitution of our meetings is that we would have, now we finished with the traditional councillors and the traditional leadership. Tomorrow we will have a technical workshop starting tomorrow up to Friday, whereby we are sensitizing the institutions that are responsible for the implementation of the policy. Mm-hmm. As you are aware, this policy is not the Ministry of Gender's policy. It's a national policy that is responsible for social protection and social safety nets. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Talk to us, Mr. Nashandi, about how the ministry intends to overcome potential challenges or resistance in popularizing the policy.
Well, we don't expect any challenges. As I said, this is a brainchild of the community already, because they have extensive inputs into this policy. Of course, at this point in time, you would understand the expectation of the communities in terms of benefiting from programs of the government, especially during these tough economic times. And you would expect the views of the communities in terms of underachievements, in terms of coverage of some of our programs as government. But with the determination of government, you have seen some improvements already in terms of what we proposed in the policy. For example, we have proposed that we strengthen old age grant. And you have already seen what have happened during this financial year when His Excellency announced the increase in old age grant. The same applies, for example, to the disability grant for children, which was increased from $250 million to $1,400. So that shows the determination and drive of the government to actually live this policy that we have.
Talk to us about the measures that are in place to evaluate the effectiveness and the impact on the ground.
As you know, it's always a challenge, and it has always been a challenge of government to implement policies. We are mostly referred to as a very good government that have good policies on paper, but when it comes to implementation, we have been lagging behind. As part of this development, we have been engaging the National Planning Commission, specifically the unit responsible for monitoring and evaluation. And they've given us much input and wisdom in terms of how we are going to evaluate the implementation of this policy. So the implementation framework covers a period of 5 years, starting already with 2021 and ending in 2026. And as part of that, we have a core team comprising of colleagues from different institutions that are identified as key in the implementation of this policy. And that core team is responsible for quarterly reporting, so that we compile a report that will be evaluated by the steering committee constituting of key EDs of chosen ministries. So that helps with the evaluation. And of course, it will then be expected that on a regular basis, we will brief cabinet in terms of the progress on the implementation of the policy.
Mr. Nashandi, just lastly, what steps are being taken to ensure that the policy is, culturally sensitive and tailored to the diverse needs of different communities?
Yeah, as I said, this is a brainchild of the community, and we have made sure that as a ministry responsible for spearheading issues around marginalization and disability, for example, the language and content is sensitive to what is undesirable. We have incorporated all aspects that relates to all the groupings that are targeted in this policy. So we don't expect much challenges with respect to the sensitivity of these issues.
Mr. Wilbard Nashandi, thank you so much for your time this evening, and thank you for joining us here on the Daily Roundup.
Thank you very much, and good evening.
That was Mr. Wilbard Nashandi of the Ministry of Gender speaking to us via Zoom. When we come back, we touch on some health matters and thereafter some entertainment. Stay with us.